Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I like to do talks that are impromptu. I kind of come up with an idea, think about it a little bit, and I just go for it. My talks are unscripted. And today I want to talk about chaos, depression, and self-sabotage. Chaos, depression, and self-sabotage. You see, recently I've come across people that suffer from what I would call the self-sabotage syndrome. And I think in psychology you can read more about self-sabotage. And what people like this do essentially is that when things are going well for them, when life is starting to become stable, and when things are starting to fall in place for them, they deliberately mess it up, okay? So that they can once again feel the chaos of life. Okay, so they fluctuate and oscillate between chaos and stability, chaos and stability. Now, ordinarily, life does throw you curveballs, and the curveballs that life throw you would put you in a state of chaos. Naturally, it happens, okay? But I'm not talking about natural curveballs. I'm not talking about the occasions when bad things happen. I'm talking about people who deliberately instigate chaos in their otherwise stable lives, simply because it helps them feel more alive. And so what people do often who are depressed is that they look for situations and they try to put themselves in situations where they would be in trouble. Okay? So they would create trouble in their lives to undo the stability that they feel currently, which is the stability they sought after in the first place, which was meant to undo the chaos that they were experiencing. And so they oscillate between stability and chaos, but they do it deliberately, okay? Many people's lives, are naturally chaotic because they are thrown curveballs, not because they go looking for it, but because it happens. It happens because it is the nature of existence to be constantly challenged, since challenges help you grow as a person. And so it is said that the strongest steel is forged under the hottest flames, the hottest coals. So basically, life is about development, and that development would naturally take place. But what people do, who are chronically depressed, is that when things become stable for them in their lives, and a routine is set and established, and things are going well for them, because routine and stability is important for prosperity and success, in a sense, they start to get bored. They feel that they are not alive, okay? They want adventure, okay? And there is no greater adventure than going after forbidden fruit. There's no greater adventure than sneaking around. There's no greater adventure than going behind people's backs. There's no greater adventure than living precariously, living in the moment, and going with your impulses and so on, and not having to care about what's going to happen tomorrow, or not having to care about consequences. And so people who are chronically depressed often find themselves in the forbidden fruit conundrum, where they act on impulse, not caring about the consequence, because the element of danger, the element of going against someone, and the element of risking it all excites them. It excites them and it makes them feel alive. And so they do that because it triggers endorphins in their brain and it helps them feel less depressed. And as a result, they basically mess up their lives and then spiral even further into depression, because now they burn the bridges that helped to get them to a place of stability to begin with. And so this is a recurring pattern in people who are chronically depressed, and it's destructive. It ruins lives. It causes a lot of chaos in the lives of people that such a person touches. This person would enter people's lives, would be there for a while, then craving the stability and the community and everything that has to offer, would get that, and then eventually just burn all that down to again be free to start the process all over again. And this person will constantly just do that over and over and over, meet people, burn bridges, burn everything down, and start over, because the person is running away from having to deal with his or her real issues that has resulted in them being depressed to begin with. Okay? And so obviously depression and the mind, causes chemical imbalances in the body, and rectifying these chemical balances through drugs is not a permanent solution. It should have been a temporary solution. The solution is to solve the problem. Why are you depressed? Why are you living your life the way you do? Why are you sabotaging yourself? So those are the questions that need to be asked, and people like that probably need professional help in that regard. Come out of that negative cycle, that they are stuck in. One of the reasons often for this type of behavior is again because people are aimless or goalless, and also because people have not committed to a set of values and principles. So they lack basically ethics and morals. Because when you commit to a set of values or principles, okay, there's something in your head that nags you about your impulses, okay? So when you have an impulse to do something, there's a moral or principle or value that is telling you, you know what, don't do it because it's bad for you, or because the consequences will be dire, or because you will be hurting people, or because whatever, okay? So those values and principles mitigate your behavior, and then when it mitigates your behavior, your impulse to self-sabotage or to self-destruct or to destroy the lives of the people around you and your own life, and to act in a reckless way, would be contained by the value system you have committed to. Because now you will be conflicted between following your impulse and adhering to principles. Um, that is also one way of regulating the situation, because a cycle of chaos, people who sabotage their lives, who practice self-sabotage, is a cycle that can be broken when the person actively decides to exit that cycle. So when the person feels the need to destroy what he or she has, to do things that are untoward, that are uncanny, that are actions that are irresponsible, and that will ruin the lives of people, when the person feels a need to do those things, when the person feels the need to go behind people's backs, stab people in the backs, betray people, etc., and that person actively decides that, look, I'm not going to go with my impulse, okay? I'm not going to go with what I need at this moment, okay, to feel better about my situation. But instead, I'm going to suspend my need at this moment in order to stabilize my life in the long run, in order to break out of the chaos cycle, in order to break out of the cycle of sabotaging my own life through my immediate impulses, through my being angry at this moment, through my wanting to spend time with this particular person that I know I should not be doing, for example, or my wanting to sleep with this woman or sleep with this man that I know I should not be doing because I'm in a committed relationship and this will damage my committed long-term relationship, so I should not be doing it because I don't want to hurt or affect my partner in a way that would make my relationship irreparable, for example. Then, when the person actively decides against it, okay, and it practices impulse control, then they break out of the negative cycle of self-sabotage, and they can start to normalize. They will start to feel happy. They will start to feel good about themselves, and they will gradually move away from depression and drugs and antidepressants and all that, because the chemical imbalance will gradually start to normalize. The imbalance will normalize because everything within the human body, the spirit, the mind, the heart, it's all interconnected. Okay? As an example, when you feel really depressed, when you feel really down, and you decide, okay, I'm gonna go cycle, or I'm gonna go run, after a while you start to feel better. You start to feel better because exercise releases good hormones in your body. And the issue that caused you to be depressed, for example, it hasn't been resolved, but when you start to feel good about yourself, when you start to have good hormones in your body, you are now in a better space to think more clearly about the issues, okay? But merely exercising doesn't resolve the issue. So antidepressants is kind of like that, Restoring the chemical imbalance in your body through antidepressants is just a temporary measure. It doesn't resolve the reason why you are depressed, okay? And it creates imbalances in your personality, and it will, cause you to behave in an erratic fashion, and do unreasonable things, and also, become reckless. And so I, for one, have seen on more than one occasion that people who are on antidepressants are, you know, very difficult to live with because they are unstable, and the instability results in them being irresponsible and, making irresponsible decisions and being a danger to you and to themselves. And it doesn't have to be that way, because what it does need is it requires a commitment to overcome that depression. And to overcome that depression, it often requires lifestyle changes. And lifestyle changes are not easy because change is always difficult, but it can be done if there is a firm commitment to doing so. Thank you very much.